Come here real quick. There's this one conversation I've been seeing and wanting to talk about. So while I make something, let's chat about it. So for a minute now, I've been hearing a lot about Diaspora Wars, FBA, Caribbean identity, nationality, ethnicity, heritage, all of these things, right? And I've engaged in a few conversations here and there, mostly with friends, sometimes with strangers, but not too much. I would not let y'all stress me out. To me, it's been a lot of conversation about how we're just so different. I think it'll be helpful to share some of my experience living and traveling in different countries and being amongst different cultures for over 12 years now. With my perspective as a Black person, as a Black woman, as a scholar, an educator, a creative, a world traveler, all of these things, I feel like it's a part of my responsibility to help set the record straight. So let's talk about it. So as I've stated before, I've been living abroad for 12 years now. If you didn't know, I moved to Ethiopia first at the young age of 24. I just turned 37. And that move just taught me so much. I was actually supposed to be moving to China, to Upper Mongolia to be specific. If you didn't know, I'm a very spontaneous, adventurous person. What that move did for me was open my eyes to so many different things. I knew that every culture, every country wouldn't be exactly the same, but going into Ethiopia, I literally had no idea what I was walking into. I had no idea what the language sounded like, what the name of the language was, Amharic, but I quickly adapted. I was welcomed with open arms, and yeah, it just made for a wonderful first time experience living abroad. You know, I had a wonderful support system there, and they really just took care of me. Like a lot of those people I still talk to this day. But with that really just kind of shaped my perception of the idea of home. Like, what is home? It established for me like that home and identity, all of these things are fluid. I do consider myself a nomad. I do not feel like one place has to be home forever. That experience taught me that very early on, and it solidified that for me. So leaving home for me actually started in college when I decided to go to college on the opposite side of the country. Being from LA, going to college all the way in Atlanta. Shout out to Clark Atlanta University and Georgia State University, the Blue Panthers and the Black Panthers. I realized that I was capable of forming community and finding community wherever I went. Moving to another continent was just another step away for me. So with that background, going to a whole nother continent, a whole nother culture, it gave me a space to reimagine what home actually is. I really learned that identity is not fixed. It's layered, it's very layered. And it showed me this in the most beautiful ways through my experiences. I also found a lot of common threads between cultures, like between my Black American culture on the West Coast to moving to the South, linking that culture with going back to the continent, amongst the different cultures that I encountered. I was really able to see how similar we are. A lot of the reoccurring themes that I find when traveling is that we're so similar in the ways that we express joy, the ways that we commune with family and friends, our rhythm, right, through our music. Music just connects us all. And of course, our resilience and our creativity. There was a moment I wanted to share real quick about my first experience in Ethiopia. One of my very first experiences in Ethiopia. So when I moved to Ethiopia, I actually moved there to work with an organization. It was an art-based charity there. And I stayed in the guest room of an orphanage. If you know anything about Ethiopian food, you know they use injera, which is essentially like a flat bread, so you eat with your hands. And there's a tradition that they call girsha, where someone takes a portion of food with their hands and hand feeds somebody else. And that happened to me. It was an elder. She offered me the food, and this is my first time, mind you, this is my very first time having dinner with them. So I'm not familiar with any of them. And this elder, who was probably, I believe she was in her, could have been 80s, maybe 70s or 80s. And of course I took it. They told me that it's a sign of love, a sign of endearment. In that moment, I was kind of freaking out, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, the way that I was eating the food, I'm licking my fingers. Like I'm having to eat with my hands, and I'm like, oh Lord, I hope I'm not, I don't want to take nobody's saliva. But of course, I learned that they're more professional at it. But that moment, reflected on it later on, it made me think about my grandmother. So with my grandmother being from the South, being from Louisiana, she would make collard greens and hot water cornbread and mash it up with her fingers and feed it to me. And to this day, I think about it, and I have never tasted those flavors outside of her fingers. It almost brings tears to my eyes sometimes when I think about it, because that was a moment that I shared with my grandmother, and I went to a whole nother country on a whole nother continent, and that happened, to me on my first day. So that was a sign for me, and that was really the theme of that whole experience, of my experience living abroad. I've always felt welcome, and I think that has a lot to do with my intentions as well, because I do try to go in open and wanting to understand and be in community with people on the ground. So a little bit on the beauty of global education. So while I'm not formally in school right now, I still consider myself a student. I am forever a student of the world. This is one thing that traveling does for me that I'm so grateful for. I'll forever be grateful for. And also being a teacher, I get to be in touch with people, children and adults, who teach me things every day. This has really deepened my compassion and my understanding of cultural norms and tolerance and things like that. More than ever now, we have access to everybody in the world, basically. There are so many opportunities to learn, to connect and communicate with other people, that especially in this time, in this climate where divide and conquer is the tactic that has always worked. I'm going to stress that this is the time more than ever to be making an effort to connect with other people intentionally. The ignorance is what drives the hate and misunderstanding, abuse, and erasure of people. So we can still honor our roots as individuals. We do have our own cultures, our own traditions, heritage, languages. There are so many different things that we have different, and we can celebrate those differences. We can also celebrate and find connection in our similarities. You'll be surprised to know how much other people share some of your same traditions, even though we call it something different. Whether you're in the Caribbean, North America, South America, in Africa, in the Middle East, we will find some connections to each other. And especially us throughout the diaspora, literally we have to think about, most of the time it's just a boat stop away. Many of us share these same experiences, maybe a different colonizer, maybe a different land, but we share a lot of the same experiences. So I really just encourage everybody to take the time to learn something about somebody else. Learn your own history as well. Brush up on it. Talk to some elders. Talk to people of other cultures. This is the time we need to be connecting. I encourage you to stay curious, and no matter where you're from, there's always something to learn when you step outside of what's familiar to you. We are all carrying stories that connect us, and when we share them, we grow stronger together. All right, y'all. Peace.